How can you describe what it's like to work on a story of that nature to people who've never worked in news and never been in a newsroom?
Oh, man. It's your moment. It's not a good moment. Um, but it is it so far, and I've covered a lot of big stories, but nothing like that.
Yeah.
And, for context, I was in the newsroom within 15 minutes of the
Wow.
shooting. I lived close to the station. I had a friend who was at Route 91. She had texted. So, of course, we didn't know how bad it was. I'm driving to the TV station thinking maybe 2 or 3 people were shot. I'd be there for a couple of hours to get the morning show on the road and then come home. And, I came home 2 days later. But I remember one of my main anchors walked in and everybody was really rattled because at the time, the misinformation, that was coming over the scanners, everybody, the police on scene, they were all trying to get a grip of what was happening. It was still very much active. And I took her hands and I said, "This is what we do." I said, this is what we were put here for. I said, we have a community right now that doesn't know what's going on, if this is a terrorist attack or what's happening. So we're going to go out there and we're going to get them through it. And that's what we did as a station for, still to this day, to some extent, but in the immediate aftermath, that first, through Friday, it was the proudest I've ever been to be a journalist. It was the proudest I've ever been to be a manager. My staff on every level, from the beautiful woman who catered food for our TV station to, the news director and general manager, everybody stepped up and focused on getting through that time. And the only other thing I could even compare it to is how tight a newsroom is when you're covering a hurricane, but with much more gravity to the situation. To me, when I retire, that moment is the moment. Sometimes you get lost in what you're doing every day. You're getting up early or you're staying at work late and it sucks and it's slow and you've covered your 450-second car crash this week. And it's just like, why am I doing this? What am I doing? Especially with, the attacks the media comes under every so often or whatever. That moment, I was like, this is every move. This is every college course I took. This is every crap day I had training me for this. And my entire team, I've never been more proud of a group of journalists in my entire life, ever. And I hope it never happens again. But it's weird to say. I hope and pray it never happens again. But it was the proudest moment of my entire career, hands down.
And I don't think people realize when you're covering a story like that, that's a story that goes on for years. Yeah. It's not a week or two. It's something you guys will be continuing to do follow-up stories about that day, October 1st, for years. Yeah. That's like the understatement of continuing coverage.
Yeah.
Was there a moment, like, when did you realize in your head that just how big of a deal this was? Like, how the gravity of the situation, when did that kick in for you?
For me, I got to the station and immediately hopped up on the assignment desk, and I went old school. We had an easel up there, and I started writing. I have a column. I actually have the papers right here, but I have a column of what we know and what we're hearing, so I could know where to send different crews. And for the first, it was weird because the first time it hit me, I was at the assignment desk. I had a TV in my ear, and when they released the gunshots, the footage, I kept hearing it. I heard it over and over and over again for 24 hours. And that I still have some issues today with gunfire from that. And I remember the assignment desk guy who was working that Sunday night, we heard on the scanners, we could hear the call of the paramedics taking one of the officers who had been shot to the hospital. And we could hear them yelling over the radio, you know, we need to clear away. We need to open the road. We've got an officer down. And I remember just looking at him. We didn't say anything. We just kind of looked at each other. But then we had a crime and safety expert who is a retired Metro lieutenant on our staff. And we heard from him before it made it out into the country that at least 50 people had been killed that night. And when he said that, I looked at him and thought he was crazy. I'm like, there is no way. Like, we were thinking 2, 4, you know.
Yeah, and that's how it is in these situations. There's no information. So
Right.
It's really hard to tell. It's really hard to tell, like, what category this type of thing is in.
I tell you, the awesome thing about my station, and I know other stations in the city, we were so well taken care of by the community. We had people bringing food by.
Oh.
We had people sent us handwritten cards thanking us. I never went hungry because there was always a business or a person. We had one girl, probably 20 years old, come by, and she was like, my mother baked these for y'all, you know, and homemade cooked food. And the TV station as well, you know, the HR department, people that aren't working necessarily directly in the news stepped up. I had people from sales texting me, can I bring you anything? One day I just wanted a Coca-Cola. That's all I wanted. And a sales girl texted me on her way into work, can I bring you anything? I said, can I have a Coke? She brought me like a 6-pack of Coke from work. We had toothbrushes and toothpaste given to us. Our TV station rented an RV and put it in the parking lot for a quick nap spot, quick shower spot if you needed it. So it was really neat, not only to see how our station came together, but the community really rallied around the journalists as well.